about his unique perspective on networking. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you, Sam. Do you ever experience that ridiculous silence in elevators? That silence when you're beside a complete stranger who cowers in the security of their devices so that they don't have to talk to you. Does it sound familiar? This is actually pretty much the norm in most elevators, and I find it fairly amusing because I like to go against the norm in that regard and have as many conversations with strangers in elevators as possible. And I found that in these elevator conversations, some incredible unexpected connections can be made. And I define these unexpected connections as those serendipitous encounters that you've all had. Perhaps you've made a fantastic business contact here tonight coming to our fantastic showcase. Or maybe you got your name put forward for a job that you had no experience in, but somehow you got the job and it turned out to be a pretty good fit. Or perhaps it's that Saturday night when you were staying home and there was no way you were going out, but this friend kept texting you and calling you, and they came over and literally dragged you out to some sort of social engagement, and there happened to be some romance waiting for you there. Huh? Maybe that romantic partner is with you tonight. Well, these unexpected connections are happening around us all the time, whether we're aware of it or not. And having traveled to 38 countries and worked in a number of different fields, I feel I've learned a thing or two about how people connect, and it's my intention to touch on that tonight in these few minutes that we have together. So tonight I'm going to give you some food for thought. And by food for thought, I don't mean actually any real food. Of course, we've all had dinner already, I hope. But some conceptual food for that. And so the food for thought I'd like to give you is this word, I don't know, it's called eat. And if you see the eyeball cards on your table, you can take them out and unfold them on the back. You can see the acronym EAT. And the E stands for consider how everyone around you is resourceful. The A stands for ask for help. And the T, aside from standing for totally happy to be here, Tony, is for try new things. And I'm just going to touch on something about the ask for help section. But in terms of asking for help, I'd like to reference a name that might be familiar to you. Someone named Faith Wood. A couple of you heard that name before? Maybe? So a couple of months ago, Faith had to do a presentation for the Southwestern Ontario chapter of CAPS in London, Ontario, which happens to be my hometown. And on that particular day, I had done some videography work for one of our members who was feeling a little bit ill. And so during that particular CAPS Whirlwind Saturday, I was pretty exhausted. But after our sessions that afternoon, a little voice said to me, Tony, you can do just a little bit more. So I got myself up to the cocktail hour and had a chat with whoever was around, and quickly I overheard Faith talking about how she was going to be doing a presentation in London. And as a coincidence, I had to be in London as well for some family time and some vacation. I asked her if I could meet with her, and what do you think she said? Yeah. Of course she said yes. She's very generous, and I had the privilege of pretty much a 3-hour coaching session with her, and she was absolutely lovely and very, very giving with her time. And she gave me some advice that I used straight away, and the advice she gave was that when I have a booked gig, to sort of drip feed your clients in advance, kind of give them teasers of your content, be it blog posts, or in my case, videos, or whatever, so that by the time you show up at the event, they already kind of know you, and you sort of have celebrity status. So I did this for an event that I had coming up, and got an immediate response. They said, Tony, we love it. We've watched 9 of your videos. Fantastic. And so I emailed Faith back to say, thanks so much for the advice. I used it, and this is the result I got. Well, just a few weeks ago, I had the privilege of speaking for the Project Management Institute here because Faith put my name forward for that event. And she used me as an example at one of our last Fast Track meetings to say, Tony, can I use you as an example? Okay, sure. And she said, I put Tony's name forward for this event because he asked for help, he took my advice, and then he sent me the notes to prove it. So if there's one thing I'd like to leave you with today, when it comes to asking for help, is to not just learn from these awesome mentors who we're surrounded by, or your coaches or your teachers, but report back to them. Because more often than not, once you report back to someone who's been caring enough to dedicate some of their knowledge or information for you, they're going to be likely more interested in lifting you up even further. And that was the case for me. I can proudly say that I'm now going to be speaking at the Project Management Institute, their year end in November, as a result of that keynote, which is a further development that's terribly, terribly exciting. So as I'm ticking down here, I'd just like to say that you keep in mind that it's good to have some food for thought, and eat well, and next time you're in an elevator, try talking to the person next to you. You never know what you might find. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tony. Hey, I think I'm going to start hanging out with this guy, because my buddies call me up.